I'm going to try my best here to not ignore the popular demand thread that started in the comment section for GTII, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at what BBBYQ has in line for us. Okay, you guys. All right, so let's just get it started. What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for stopping by. Once again, this is ARCa coming at you with a BBBYQ technicals and raw price action thread of analysis on this Hump Day Wednesday. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share the video with a friend so that you and them could consider joining our trading community in Discord called ARCa Bulls. With that said, let's dive right into the charts. Okay, you guys, so yes, BBBYQ on the 8-hour. This is a real shame because I do have several statistical backtests for BBBY, right, that are now pretty much unusable because they are now an OTC ticker, right? So a lot of my statistical analyses have actually gone out the window, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at something very obvious here, though. Okay, so as I'm going to be focusing on the 8-hour time frame mostly, but it's just some stuff over here is looking pretty nice for us, right? So let's go ahead and take a note of whatever is happening here. I just want to see if we are touching resistance for any particular reason at all, right? So it looks like we very much could be. All right, so I'm going to draw a resistance line just like this. Oh my goodness, I see it. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to go ahead and make another one right over here, right? So that we can kind of understand where we could be in relation to price action, right? So what we're noticing here is that very, normal, this formation here just appears in the bear markets like crazy, right? So this is the broadening descending wedge, right? So let me just go ahead and make sure that I am looking at everything correctly here, okay? All right, so yeah, broadening ascending wedge here on the 8-hour time frame. So so if we are going to attempt the breakout, then it could be soonish, right? So we're looking at test number 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're actually at that test number 5 right now. The importance of the test number 5 is because it's also considered to be a true breakout test, right? Alongside test number 4. So test number 4 is usually the one that happens, but test number 5 would also be one to consider, right? So now as you start to get into test number 6 and 7 and 8, all those, we would have to kind of evaluate the current market conditions and see what the likelihood or probabilities are for a breakout, right? So, so let's go ahead and continue on the analysis here and see if we have any type of signal that can lead to an upside. First of all, we do have the 8-hour time frame suggesting a downside here on the RSI, but we have the SMA 14 located right below us, which could indicate a very short-lived downside, right? So in fact, I can actually give a target for that downside, and I think it would be in relation to these resistance zones from these candles right over here, right? So let's just go ahead and kind of put that down here just so that we can at least have a little bit of control over what we're doing, right? So something along the lines of this, right? So particularly to the opening and closing of these candles here. So 1448 to about 1613, the top side being pretty likely, right? So let's go ahead and now, since we already have this, oh, you know what? Let me pull up the averages to see if we have any resistance from this, right? So so in fact, we're using the SMA 50 on the 8-hour as resistance, and you can see right down here that we actually have that SMA 14 period and the SMA 10 located right in the target that we're talking about. So this could very well be a pretty nice area of support before a bounce to the upside, right, you guys? So I would consider invalidating invalidation of this upside move by starting any closures of candles below 1457. Okay, so if we start closing candles below that 1457, very likely we can actually come back down to the range of about 1067. Okay, you guys, the range of about 1067 to, I'd say, 1142. Okay, so it is critically important that we can maintain that 1448 before a continuation to the upside, okay? So now let's go ahead and revert the time frame here and take a look at the immediate short term, right? So let's go ahead and start off with the 30-minute immediate short-term time frame, and we're going to kind of take a look at here all of our indicators and see what if we have any potentials, right? Any opportunities here per se, right? So Now, in relation to the 30-minute, it looks like we have that downside that we're already expecting, right, on that 30-minute RSI. So let's go ahead and look at the bi-hourly time frame and see what else we have in store for this, right? So let me make sure that I can get this looking backwards. Okay, perfect. So yeah, the bi-hourly RSI is still suggesting a downside continuation. In fact, we're getting a little bit of a downside pivot here, very bearish cross here on the MACD, suggesting a downside. And this is actually just giving more validity to our support grab here that we can do, that we can actually succeed before a continuation to the upside. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the 6 hour and see what we have. Okay, so the 6 hour and the 8 hour are the ones that are essentially giving us that bias of a short-term retracement. Okay, so as you can see here on the RSI 6 hour period, we do have that 14-day simple moving average right over here, right? So we can use it as support before continuing on. And look at the 8 hour also has that similar situation there too, right? So this is why I'm saying that these timeframes are actually giving our support range a little bit of validity. So let's go ahead and look at the 12 hour and see what we have. 12 hour looks to be actually starting to correct its RSI pivot, and the downside on the stochastics isn't so exponential there. Okay, you guys, but let's see the daily time frame. Okay, so now jumping into the daily. Wow, take a look at what we drew here. So our discretionary targets just so happen to be the top side of a gap and also the bottom side of this area here. Let's just go ahead and make an adjustment to our range here. And yeah, so there could be one other area of support, and that could be located at 1765 based on the daily gap that we have right over here, right, you guys? So go ahead, or 1758, right? So go ahead and take note of that as well, right? Because not often do we, we already covered the gap, of course. What I'm talking about is that we can use previous gaps as a future play, right? So yeah, in this case, it's looking pretty promising, right? MACD still pivoted towards the upside on green, printing new green bars right over here. Please notice as well that we have contraction from the volatility indicator represented by BBWP, starting now with an upside pivot on both the EMA3 and SMA14. This is a statistical setup. Okay, you guys, so now let's see. We have 19% ADX represented by this white dotted line, and we have the bulls sitting at 27%. If the bulls can actually take over this, then we would have a strong trending market for the bull case. Okay, you guys. So yeah, I'm honestly seeing. 1756 is really, that's just kind of a burp away. So that's it may not hold. But for sure, you guys, I'm looking at these areas of support before a continuation to the upside. But we really have to validate when we're in here to see what that sentiment is looking like then. Okay, you guys, so now upon realizing an upside here, then very likely we can actually come back and touch this gap as resistance. Just like this. Check it out. Like this. Yeah, sorry, guys. I just have to lean in a little bit. Okay. Yeah, just like that. So we can actually face this as an area of resistance, right? The zone between 24 and 27 cents before we can come back down and validate our newly converted resistance into support before continuing on to the upside. Right, you guys? So this is essentially what I'm looking at for this play. Okay, you guys, but please remember that there's a lot of sentiment behind BBBY and it's one of those meme stocks, right? So let's just be as careful as we can be when trading this, right? So even on your bi-daily time frame, please notice here that we're getting a very nice upthrust here on the MACD with an upside pivot. We have stochastic momentum pivoted towards the upside alongside contraction phase starting on that on the volatility indicator, right? The BBWP. And guys, there is an opportunity here. We just have to be very careful in how we take it. Okay, you guys, but please remember first and foremost that I am not a financial advisor. Take whatever I do show and iterate within these videos as just a form of entertainment, as I cannot suggest for you to buy or sell any assets whatsoever. I need you to do your own due diligence and everything will be cool. Okay, you guys, but with that said, I wish you well a very, very good night, and I will catch you at the bell mañana. Adios.